a very, very, very powerful cheat code out there is just relationship. Can you give the people an example, because you love to dive deep? Can you give the people an example, like how did relationships, or how did our relationship, but there are many relationships, but a romantic relationship is one of the most powerful ones. But you have relationships with many, many, many people, you have relationships with families, with friends, with colleagues. Like, these are relationships where you can learn from. But the one that will teach you the most are the ones who have the most emotions involved with it. That's why a relationship with a stranger can teach you something, but a relationship with your mom, with your dad, with your girlfriend or your wife or someone else, like, who can trigger you into your deepest versions, like, that's the one who gonna bring you, like, to the top floor, because a stranger one, you can just say, like, fuck him, man, I don't care, but I will never see him again. But if you're living with someone together and you're seeing each other day to day to day to day to day, or with your family, you're living with them together, you're seeing each other, like, you can't just say, like, fuck it, I'm not gonna see him again. Like, you have to deal with it, or you're gonna suppress it. But yeah, give the people maybe something, or do you have something you want to share about how relationships, or this relationship, like, made you some fire, gave you some fire to elevate?
You mean where this relationship poured light onto my shadows? One of the things you made me very aware of, since the beginning of when we have met, is how I needed external validation for certain things, which is something I still deal with when I have a bad day and I'm just trapped in my ego. It happens to everyone, like, that's a human thing. Even if you have all senses activated, you can still experience the full spectrum of emotions. It's really important for people to understand that even though you are building your dream life that fulfills your desires, you will still experience the full spectrum of emotions. You will still have very bad days, depressed times, people around you will die or something, like very dense emotions that we all as a collective have to go through. This will happen to everyone in life.
I think it's even like that the people who dive deeper into themselves gonna feel a more spectrum of emotions.
Yeah. That is true, because a lot of our emotions are completely numbed because they have been programmed not to be allowed to experience them. So as a coping, we completely shut those emotions down. And then when we feel them again after 10 years, for example, a lot of people suppress anger and hurt. And then if some hurt comes up, that's like 10 years ago because you have suppressed it. That can be very overwhelming because you have learned to suppress it, You're not familiar with this feeling.
I have a comparison. It is like, imagine you have a Coca-Cola bottle and you're just shaking, but never opening the bottle, The
Wow.
pressure is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And
also the drink is gonna taste so disgusting.
The pressure is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, And imagine, like, only like, you never cry, for example. Opening the pressure would be crying to release some emotions.
It would be like,
yeah, but imagine you don't do that. The pressure is just building up, building up, building up. And at some point, people, they just completely lose their mind. They scream and whatever. Like, they have no control over their emotions. They're like, they're like this balloon who's just floating, like, who have no control,
They're not even as elegant as that balloon.
Yes, balloon's still smooth.
The balloon is just surrendering. They're
Yeah.
gonna be like a fountain that they can't stop with their hands.
They're trying to fight it.
So remember how I said you put light onto my shadow of needing external validation? For example, when I used to meet you, I was way more fixed on how I may look like so you would find me attractive, so that I would be valid to receive love. Because otherwise I wouldn't think that I'm enough, lacking my wholeness. And I feel like you have put a lot of light onto that shadow, because I have experienced you loving me in any stage that I'm in and accepting me. So that to me is over and over again a confirmation that I'm worthy, and that reminds me, or like puts me into a position where I also believe and affirm myself that I'm whole. And I have really shed a lot of layers ever since we have got together. It was like always more and more layers that I let down, that I was fixed on, and it just feels free to finally have learned that I'm whole, how I am, and I will keep that for the rest of my life. I'm thankful for that. You know, I have learned that now, and I will not whole ever again for anyone.
I think that's so powerful and wonderful, because in relationships we can learn to really be everything for the partner, and that can be a wonderful thing. And that really also shows like how deep your connection is, because we're also coaches to each other, and the important coaches and mentors, the important thing about coaches or mentors is they will give the student help and guidance, but also the freedom to learn it themselves, you know. That's why you have to, when you really love someone, you don't want them to just escape from their shadows, but you also don't want to trigger them the whole time, you know. When they're in the shadows, me, I'm also sometimes in my shadows. The thing is, when we learn to love each other, we learn how we can give enough space for the person to know that you're safe, but also like you have to deal with that on your own. Like me, for example, or for men, for example, if they see their partner struggling with something, we shouldn't just give them like the answer for it or whatever. Like we have to.
You don't have to always give me immediate help when I'm struggling with something. That's what love does. You give me the freedom to experience that for myself, even if I'm struggling and maybe doing a dumb decision. You're still gonna love me through it, and because of that, I learned from it.
That's the thing. The feminine is just letting emotions guide throughout the journey to the destination, and the masculine is very thinking. It's very thought based, and that's why I'm always thinking like, what is the solution to the problem? Bam, I got it. I want to give it to you directly, and that's the thing why most men cannot handle the feminine, because they're only thinking in their logic way, in their thoughtful way. And when the female is feeling something, they cannot understand this because they shut down their emotions. So the attraction to their emotions, the awareness is not there because it just doesn't exist for them.
Trying to solve all these emotions.
Yes. That's why sometimes I've been doing this, like trying to give you the exact same solution, but that's the thing. I'm learning right now to sometimes let you do it on your own, because that we need that sometimes. Men and women, whoever, like you need sometimes just space to grow on your own. Like you cannot let everyone solve all your problems, but you just need maybe a little guidance sometimes.